What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm so excited to be talking to you guys today. Welcome back to the Creative Journal podcast. We're on entry number 45 this week, and we have a really exciting episode planned. Today is going to be a solo one, following our normal structure. We do usually do 1 week of guests, 1 week off. Last week's episode was entry 44 with Mr. Steve Schramm of Subscription Web Design. Make sure you guys check that out if you have not already. We can check out the show notes in the description, or you can go head over to the website and look at the show notes there. This was a topic of the newsletter this week, and I wanted to have a podcast to kind of discuss what ideal target customers is and how you can actually put together a strategy to find that person. Because what I've learned, and I touched on this, was I did 13 networking events in 1 week, which is more than my usual volume. I'm usually at and around one a day, so usually around 4 or 5 a week, depending on which organization I'm frequenting that week. But what I learned is that I went into those trying to find a perfect person, and it depends on what rooms you find yourself in. So you have to get into the room with the right people. But if you're a local business owner and you're a small business, the people that are coming in your door, the people that you interact with on a day to day, aren't always going to be the perfect people. So you have to have an open mind, but at the same time, you want to make sure you're reaching the people that you want to work with, your ITC. So I put together like a brief outline of a strategy that I'm going to use and follow that you can probably apply to your business with certain parameters on being accepting and acknowledging at the same time that not everyone fits into a predefined box, but also having a structure for the perfect person. And it doesn't look the same for everybody. So, regardless of your industry, obviously we're in design and branding, but you can take these actions when you're meeting with different people. Realize that not everyone fits into this predefined box. So that was kind of the biggest realization that hit me, and that's why I wanted to kind of create this framework so that when I go to these events, when I go to these B2B networking events, I can see, okay, these are my parameters. These are the things I can kind of hold a mirror next to and see if this person kind of fits this business, whether it's the business model that they're in that I could serve, or it's the type of people that they are as an owner that could make it work. Because you can only choose to work with, say, if you are very discriminatory in the beginning and you say, yeah, we only work with one certain business type or one certain industry, then you're shutting off a lot of people. But at the same time, it's also very effective for marketing. So I'm going to share with you guys the the parameters I put together that you can apply to any networking event that you go to and kind of have a litmus test. So without further ado, let's get on into it. By the way, this week's entry into the Business Owners Essential Reading Database, which we are updating weekly, is The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. And the three biggest takeaways are: the process of wealth creation is exponential and not linear. To get really good at something, you must live it and breathe it. And getting rich quick does not equal getting rich easy. So you can check out this summary with 3 actionable takeaways, 2 quotes, a summary, and the link to download it at the cheapest place online. If you check out the link in the podcast description and get the Business Owners Reading Notion database, and make sure you're keeping in touch with all the new uploads. A great way to start your reading habit and set yourself up for business success. Back to the episode. Okay, so I want to start with 3 really cut and dry, hard to find lines that are really non-negotiable when you're doing business with anybody. And that is: 1, they value what you offer; 2, working with them energizes you; 3, they can afford you; and 4, as a bonus, I know I said 3, but 4 is a bonus of aligned incentives. So let's kind of unpack each of those, because these are the roadblocks and these are non-negotiables for me, and they should be for you as well, in my opinion. So they value what you offer, number 1. If it feels like you're constantly selling yourself to them or having to prove your value, that whole dynamic is very employer driven, and that's not what a partnership should look like. No matter what industry you're in, I'm telling you, I fall into this mindset a lot too when I feel like you have to live up to a certain amount that you charge people. Um, and you have to disentangle the amount of time something takes you for the amount of value it provides. So if they see the value in what you do, it shouldn't matter to the client that it only took you a couple minutes to do. And that's why it's so important to work with business. That's why B2B companies are so like that's why I love working with other business owners because they usually can see that the time and output is not related. The output is not related to the time investment. So if you work with a business owner that values the results they get from your service rather than the amount of time it took you to reach those results, then that is a firm step one. And as I'm talking to a potential client, I'm always picking up on the small nuances of the things that they're saying, keeping a close eye on their conversations, their language. Um, if they are talking about things like when they're talking about a website or a marketing strategy email, they're saying, I just don't want to deal with it. I know it's hard, but it's just a little overwhelming. I used to spend so much time on the small details. I just can't do it anymore. Small stuff like that shows that they're insecure about the amount of time that they're putting into it now, and they're seeing the downsides of that. And that's just a great opportunity for you to kind of tee it up and show your value because you can tell that they already value the service that you have. Um, so when you're talking to someone, really keep tabs on kind of those key phrases that are coming up and slot yourself in as a solution to those problems. So, my black and white prerequisite number one is that they see the value in what you offer. Number two, speaking with them, engaging with them, working with them energizes you. And in the beginning, as you start your business, this isn't as important because you're looking for clients, you're looking for a runway. So don't index for this one right out of the gate. And that's not what I'm doing right now. Um, we all know the feeling of talking to someone that, just makes you always check your clock, check your watch. Maybe doing their task and their work um, feels like work. It feels like a job. It feels like something that you're being paid to do just for the money. And guys, like this is the reality of owning a business is that the people that need your service and value your service aren't always the people that you are friends with or that you would want to spend a day on the lake with. These don't have to all be the same person, but distinguishing whether or not they give you energy when you talk to them, like you feel like, okay, I could work with this person forever. I look forward to talking with them. I see a meeting with them on my calendar, and that excites me. That's a really highly indexed sign that you should really, really hope to align with. And it's tough to find sometimes. It's especially in the beginning, you're not indexing for the enjoyment. I think you can bring enjoyment to any conversation, to any client interaction. But in the beginning, you're really indexing for the value that they see in your service and their ability to pay you. So keep that in mind and look for these. By the way, we're looking for an ideal client, and this is why this is not the first priority on the list. But make sure that the people that you're speaking with, you're talking to, whether it's just, and a lot of times I've seen that this conversation comes off as the people that energize you. You're usually not even talking about business a lot of the time. Um, and they're kind of already sold on what you do and they just want to get to know you as a person. And the feeling should be mutual. You should want to conversate to actually get to know the person so you can serve them on a whole nother level. So keep that in mind too when you're talking to potential clients or you're at a networking event is how you're feeling when you're talking to them. Number three, they can afford you. Someone has to say this, so I will. It's so hard to go and serve people who, and I'm the same way with this sometimes too, is that if you truly value a service, you are just sold on everything that it is, whether it's a software or a a laundry mat, whether it's just any type of industry, any type of business, if you're completely sold on it, you're gonna find the money to pay for it. And if you're constantly having to reprove your services and whether it's for me, whether it's, having to pay a hosting fee every month and doing coaching calls with clients every month, if that's something that they don't see the value in, then it's just not worth selling on them. But if you kind of align the ladder on the wrong side of the building to start with, meaning if you're having to prove to someone, this kind of ties back to number one. If you're having to prove to someone that what you do is worth their money, then you're not going to ever convince them of that. So you, if they can afford you, make sure you're targeting those people in your messaging and your copy, and keep that in mind, when you're at these events, whenever you're meeting new people, is is this person in a industry that their cash flow allows them to fund this thing. So not every industry needs a website, just the same as not every industry needs a an outbound sales rep. Not every industry needs um, very niche services. So these are things that you keep in mind, but at the same time, you don't discriminate. And that's by no means the intention of this. Is that when you go to these events and you meet new people, you are a bit more conscious about how you categorize them in your mind, and you can use that to inform your copy and your messaging and some of the things that you might say. I think regardless of whether or not how much money someone makes, whether how much what industry they're in, we're always categorizing people in our minds. This is just putting a label to that. So when you see this person and you're questionable about kind of, would this person be a good client to work with? Take in mind, take into account what industry they're in and how much they might be making. If a business is cash flowing more money than your service offers, then it might be a good idea to pitch yourself to them and steer the conversation more in a business route. If you the person you're meeting with is more, they have a smaller company, fewer employees, they don't need as much on the outbound marketing side of things, then you're probably not going to need to build them a sales automation in Zapier and hook it up to all of their company email addresses and yeah, redirect back to the website, all these things. So it's being selective, but also not being discriminative at the same time. And number four, the bonus is aligned incentives. So if you have a company that you can structure an agreement with, first of all, you should always kind of have mutually aligned incentives no matter who you're working with. So we all get into business because there's an element of service involved. And if you're working with a company, you should want them to succeed. You should be on the same team with their business owner. You are now part of their team, as I look at it. So you should always be conscious of that. And if you're in business for the right reasons, aligned incentives are always the case on some level. Now, there's a more meta level to this where you can structure financial agreements and payments based on the actual aligned incentives. Say, so for every lead that you bring in via a website, then you get X percentage of it. And it's very forward thinking. And usually the people that are open to this are the more free thinkers, the true entrepreneurs, people that have already met the first three criteria that I laid out. Um, and we want everyone to win. And so if you can lay out these parameters in the beginning, and what I found is I've only pitched this once, when you have a payment structure that's set up in whether it's company ownership or percentage revenue share. um, it's a bit difficult to pitch because it makes it sound like that you want their business, or you um, really frame it from a point that they that you are invested in their business. So don't look at it as if you're trying to steal business from them. Look at it as if, okay, I see the potential in you, and I want to um, ride the coattails of your success. And people are usually really flattered by that. So that's a good way to kind of phrase it. Like I said, keep track on the small things that people are saying during conversations, and you can get a lot more closer to the true essence of where these people fall in conversations. Another couple things to assess too, and how I'm going about finding my ideal target client in 2024. All these filters I'm putting them through. I know I'm just so judgmental, and I'm categorizing everybody as I go. But you have to analyze what they are in business for. Not everyone is in business to make money, and therefore not everyone needs, marketing services or creative services or anything like that. So it's not that they're hard to sell or that they're closed-minded. It's that their incentives are not aligned with the service that you offer fundamentally. So, for example, not every company is trying to scale and grow. A lot of them just have day to day small things, the small problems that, are a headache to them. And it's a true superpower to be able to go in and find those and, offer solutions to them. Maybe if they're not your exact service, you can still create allies and people know people. So, keep an eye on what they're in business for and get really good and rigid on assessing why they're in business, their motives, and ask them. There's certain questions you can ask. I always ask, what's a perfect day on the job look like for you? What is your goals? What really energizes you about your business? Why did you get into it? All these things, and you get a pretty good litmus test on why they are doing what they are doing. And when you know that, you can better serve them and ultimately find out if that person is perfect to work with or not. Another thing is business structure too. And like I said, none of this is meant to be discriminatory. None of this is meant to weed people out in a good or bad way. It's all about just getting closer to categorizing your ideal target client and not being closed-minded in this at the same time. So how do we kind of find that happy middle? And if you take a look at some of the projects that have worked for you in the past, some of the clients that have really energized you, that have been able to afford you, the value that they offer you, these will all start to fall in certain buckets. And these people don't have to be paying clients for you to get feedback from them. So even in your outbound and your sales messaging, take a look at the people that are responding and how they respond. It's like, oh, this person really responded well to my offer, or and they really saw the value in what I do, and it really actually helped them. So if you can kind of find the middle of the Venn diagram between who gets the most out of your service, who values it the most, and you're going to see commonalities in the business owner. And none of this has to go all the way to full marriage, full, in the sense of they don't have to be paying clients for years just for you to get feedback from them. You can get the small amounts of feedback in these smaller moments as you go through the sales process, as you follow up, as you meet them. um, it's kind of a summative approach that you take to assessing these things when it's reaching out to a business owner. So when it applies to my business right now, I'm targeting a very specific person. So my outbound is based around the people that I want to work with. And that is strictly for outbound. So a lot of my day right now is spent doing a lot of outreach, cold and warm. So this is the strategy I would recommend. Is what I'm doing is I have a very particular tight box for my cold outbound because I don't know what these people are, so therefore I can't discriminate. Um, but when you are doing cold outreach, when you haven't met someone before, when you don't know their personality, it's a lot easier to fit them in this box without being discriminatory. So you may find that these people aren't the exact type of people you want to work with, but when you're doing outreach, when you're proposing projects, you want them to fit into the scope that of what you know, and that way it makes it a lot easier to tailor a message to them. But when it comes to existing projects and an existing portfolio, you can be a lot more lax and choose, okay, I enjoy working with this person a lot more. They can afford me, and they also give great referrals. That's what a lot of your existing day-to-day work should be like, and you should not shut off any of that. I think it can be a lot more stringent when it comes to the leads that come in that approach you, the inbound, rather than the outbound. So you should be very stringent and picky with the people that you reach out to. Make sure they fit into that ideal parameter box based on the three things we laid out before, um, and a lot more picky when it comes to the people that come in. So yeah, that's kind of my general approach to how I'm going out to find them. Right now, my ideal target client, excuse me, outreach is golf professionals. So people that need marketing services, where they're trying to get online, where they're trying to build a website, they're trying to post more on social media for the marketing side of things. And those usually fall into male golf professionals, 20 to 30 years old, or assistant golf professionals. And it's very easy to search for, whether it's on LinkedIn or um, any other search platform, just courses and then staff directories. So I'm very dialed in on who I need. I know how these people respond. I know how they talk. I know what social platforms they're on. In every sense of the word, I could be this person right now. So that's how much I know. I know how to talk to these people. And that's an advantage. That's one of my unfair advantages that I'm trying to lean on. It's something that Hormozy talks about in $100 million Leads, which is also in the Essential Reading database. So make sure you're downloaded and subscribe to that. Link will be in the description. But so that's what my outbound is taking me. That's where the direction they're taking me. When it comes to inbound, I am always following up. When I go to these networking events, I always follow up with people, and I might make an entire episode just on that. Is always sending follow ups after you meet someone. As you get their business card, you have their email. If you send an email follow up, just say the simple, "Hey, just sending a note of gratitude. Great meeting you today." Send a one brief moment from the conversation. Maybe share an inside joke, something like this, and they love that. And it also gives you their contact, so it warms their email if you ever need to reach out to them in the future. And if you have good Gmail, it'll automatically add them to your mini CRM that Google has, your contact list. Um, so that's a great strategy, and that's something I always do. Is always reach out, always follow up, even if they're not your ideal client. They can be a source of referrals, leads, and if they're not your ideal client, that's just they've played a role in getting you closer to finding out who is. So take those three parameters again. Keep conscious notes on what the people are saying during conversations, and really tailor the filters towards them and categorize them in your mind. Each person should have kind of a place. They're like, okay, this is a home run client. This is my ITC to the nose. I'm going to pursue them a lot more heavily, and I know how to talk to them. I know what they say. Um, and then categorize that person at the front, or not at the front because we're not being discriminatory, but categorize them in one place. And other people, the people that energize you, the people that can afford your services, people that can that value what you do, put them to the front and really have that class and value that class, but also know what qualifies people to be there. So this is a big brief summary of my strategy headed into a lot of these networking events, and as I do more and more outbound and I get better at sales myself, and I've shared it before, like this is a business growth uh, journal for me, and I want to share some of the strategies that are working, some that aren't, and as we go through the business, the finding my ITC is really important, because the sooner that I can do that, and the sooner that I can tailor the message towards them and be able to class other businesses in my mind, um, as to how they can help me and as to how I can help them, is going to be one of the first and most advantageous things that will set me up for the long run, and it'll be the same for you as well. So that's going to wrap it up for this one. Again, this is entry number 45 of the Creator's Journal. Um, all about ideal target customers, strategies for finding them, my strategy as I do outbound and inbound, and the filters that I am putting potential leads and prospects through as I grow the business. So a lot of exciting updates coming next week. A lot of exciting guests coming on in the next week. I'm recording 2 episodes Wednesday and Friday with 2 people, one out of the country, another one is in Grand Rapids, Michigan, who I'm super excited to chat to, and another interview on Thursday with a local business owner, someone that I've been looking up to for a long time as well. So I'm excited to share those lessons. These are all superstars on business, entrepreneurship, creativity, design, just a home run of my ITC for the podcast. And I'm excited to share the lessons and download those into my brain and yours as well. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you're subscribed on Apple and Spotify and every platform we upload to. So and please give a 5-star review if you could as well, or just some honest feedback. We put a lot into the show, and I'm excited to bring these episodes every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Make sure you got the notification bell turned on. And yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you guys this week, and we'll see you next week for entry number 46. Peace out.